Americans got grit. And as this stuff goes down, as we get more and more unemployed, as we flirt with a worldwide depression, which I don't see any signs of actually being avoided, what governments are doing right now with their policies, and the Democrats did this in the United States, they're saving the corporations. They're not saving the ordinary person. The ordinary person doesn't have a job and he's losing his home. The backbone of this country, the extraordinary ordinary, the people who made it possible for us to win World War II. You know, at the start of World War II, people hoped to be able to make 40,000 airplanes, which would have been an extraordinary thing. You know, and then you got Rita the Riveter, or whatever the name they used for all the women that went to work in factories. Rosie the Riveter. And we made 100,000 airplanes for that war. People went without. You know, if you lived in England during that time, these are kind of our cousins, you know. They're a little bit like us in a lot of ways, but different. You know, if you saw an egg in a month, you considered that pretty amazing. You know, we had rationing. You know, people couldn't drive their cars. You couldn't build new cars because everything that could be done was going into... you ever heard of a 1942 Ford? You go to one of these big sales and somebody's selling you a 1943 Chrysler. Now, maybe some people made some cars during those years, but for the most part, the American people tightened their belts and did what had to be done. And we're in a situation now where the same thing's going on, but we're not going to get any real help out of Washington or the state houses or any of the people that get into politics. They've lost their way. The corporations have way too much influence through their lobbyists. The money situation, which has been exacerbated by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is supposed to be wise. They've just become political hacks. They may be smart, but smart is not wise. Smart is clever, but not wise. Clever people are full of tricks. You know, the Roberts Court is going to be a disaster. We're not going to get any help from them. We're not going to get any help from Congress. We're not going to get any help from the executive branch. The only people around that can help us is us. You know? And the only way we can do that is to talk to each other. To get together in little tiny groups, you know, with your neighbor and whoever else you find yourself in the same circumstances. And when you ask a question about how you're going to get on through life and what you're going to do about the crap that's happening in your immediate life, you just have to stop turning to Washington and to the government. You have to work it out yourself. Because that's where the real strength of America is. It always has been. The extraordinary ordinary. You know? The founders were great men. But they didn't fight the Revolutionary War. They didn't die in the Revolutionary War. That's not true. You know, a bunch of people that signed the Declaration of Independence weren't alive by the end of the Revolutionary War, and a lot of them were killed by the British because they were traitors to the English crown. You know, Lincoln is famous in the Civil War. Jefferson Davis is famous. But it's the extraordinary ordinary that died at Gettysburg. It's the extraordinary ordinary that died in World War I. It's the extraordinary ordinary that died in World War II. And it's the extraordinary ordinary that's going to suffer the calamitous disaster that have been brought on us by the fact that corporations stole our government from us. We don't have a republic anymore. We have an oligarchy of the wealthy. At the same time, we're still here, you know. And I'm going to bring up something that's going to make liberals' heads twist around on their neck, like the girl in The Exorcist. Their heads are going to just spin around, round and around and around and around. You know, there's a lot of things that go on in the world that don't have anything to do with anything on the surface. And a lot of people argue about them and they go, "Yeah, this is terrible." But the fact is, one of the most amazing things that's happened in the United States of America is gun ownership. Now, something happens, somebody shoots somebody, and there's murders everywhere. We're the most murderous people on the planet, domestically speaking. I mean, you can make a case. Why, gosh, in Sweden, you know, they don't have any gun crimes. Nobody has any guns. Everybody's gun is registered. You can't da-da-da-da-da-da. Look at America. We have all these gun crimes. Yep. Wild West is alive and well in America. It's part of the spirit of America. At one time it was called vigilantism. Well, we're going to have some more of that. I hate to tell you. We're going to have some more of that. Government isn't going to help. We'll be lucky, you know, to get through this without a lot of anarchy in certain places in the United States, and it could still happen. I mean, there are bad people trying to ruin the United States of America, trying to subjugate the American people. And they pretty well did it through consumerism and all kinds of opportunities to get more and more in debt. They seduced the hell out of us with all of these commercial products. And we fell for it, you know. I mean, think about what happens on television. They advertise to our kids, and our kids come and say, "Well, please, Mommy, can I have?" You know. We're trained to be consumers. We're trained to be workers. Education in America is about making good workers and consumers. It's not about elevating the human spirit of the individual being educated. We're not being educated, we're being trained. And we're under a yoke. And when Thoreau says disobey, and when I say don't consent anymore, and a lot of people are already doing that, that's the right thing for Americans to do. You know, the Republicans want to be the party of no, and the Democrats want to accuse them of being the party of the no. These people in power, they haven't seen no yet. They haven't seen the American people, the extraordinary, say no. No. No, we're not gonna. No more. And you want to shove? Well, guess what? I've got a gun. I'm not going to stand for it. You shove hard, I'm going to shove back. We met the enemy in us? Yeah. Let's go for it. More later.